Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something pretty cool. It's all about taking wild plants and bringing them into the garden.
Kind of like domestication almost.
Exactly, and it's inspired by this gardener's notes who kind of saw a parallel with like fish keeping, you
Oh,
know,
no.
bringing like wild fish and kind of acclimating them to a tank environment.
Right.
So we're gonna use these notes and what we know from other sources like Wikipedia, the usual suspects, to really break down this plant.
Sounds good.
And the plant is Asystasia gangetica,
Mm.
or the Chinese violet.
Okay.
So, first off, um, when you look at this plant, it's pretty distinctive. You've got these five-lobed corollas, right? The petals are all fused together,
Hmm.
and then the lower lip really stands out. It's got these purple or sometimes violet markings on it.
Oh, that's interesting. So you've got like a white base and
Yeah,
then.
white petals,
Okay.
and then boom, that lower lip is just like, yeah. And then slender green stems, pretty standard. And then the buds are kind of cool. They're elongated and just slightly hairy.
Huh. I wondered if that color contrast on the lower lip, like the white and then the purple or violet, if that's got something to do with attracting pollinators.
Yeah, it probably does, right?
Huh.
Like it's kind of like a big
Like,
sign.
like over here.
Exactly. And that's probably why it's so noticeable to us too.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. So the gardener was really into this whole fish keeping analogy, right?
Mhm.
And they were looking into the reproduction of this plant.
Okay.
And and they even like dug up this research from way back in 1947 by this guy Ernest Ackermann.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Ackermann found that the seeds of this plant don't have a dormant period.
Oh, that's unusual.
Yeah, like they just germinate freely about 135 days after they're released.
Wow. So they're just ready to go when they hit the ground, pretty much.
Yeah, and then things speed up even more from there. So like around 40 days, you start to see flowers.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, and then seed development kicks in at about day 57. And get this, they can produce viable seeds in as little as 72 days.
That is fast.
Yeah, so like from seed to producing more seeds, it's a pretty short cycle.
Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive strategy.
Right, but here's the thing. The gardener also noted that the reproduction rate is relatively slow.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like fast but slow.
Yeah, it's kind of a head scratcher, right?
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of balance there.
Yeah, so how do we square that circle?
Yeah.
Like you got these individual seeds that germinate quickly and the plant matures super fast.
Right.
But then the overall spread is maybe not as quick as you'd expect.
Maybe it has something to do with the number of seeds each plant produces.
Yeah, maybe. Or like how often it flowers.
Yeah.
Some plants, they just pump out seeds constantly.
Well, like they flower multiple times a year or something.
Exactly. But this one, maybe it's a little more restrained.
Yeah.
And then there's the way the seeds are dispersed,
Mhm.
which is also kind of wild. They've got these little hooks called retinacula.
Retinacula? What are those?
Yeah, so they're like these tiny little hooks, and they basically fling the seeds out explosively.
Oh, wow. So they're like launching their offspring.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So for our listeners out there, especially the gardeners,
Yeah.
thinking about taking this plant, maybe introducing it to their garden, or just even understanding how plants spread in general,
Right.
knowing this stuff is super valuable. The lack of dormancy, that quick seed development, and even that explosive dispersal.
Yeah, it's all connected, right? Like you start to see the whole picture of how plants move around.
Exactly. And it kind of ties back to that initial analogy, too.
Yeah, the fish keeping thing.
Yeah, bringing in something wild and how it adapts.
Right, right.
And I think if we zoom out a little bit and think about the bigger picture, this whole thing about rapid individual development, but maybe a slower overall spread,
Yeah.
it raises some interesting questions about the Chinese violet's natural habitat.
Like what's keeping it in check?
Exactly. What factors might be limiting its spread, even though it's got these seemingly advantageous traits?
That's a good point.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just to kind of recap real quick, we've got this plant, the Chinese violet. It's got some pretty distinctive looks,
Even those markings on the lower lip.
Yeah, and then it's got this whole fast but slow reproductive thing going on.
Yeah, that's the real head scratcher.
Right, and of course, don't forget those seeds. They're just ready to sprout whenever they hit the ground.
No dormancy.
No dormancy whatsoever.
Ready to roll.
Okay, so one final thought for you all out there listening.
Okay.
So given this balance between quick individual reproduction, but maybe a slower overall spread, what do you think that tells us about how this plant might behave if it ends up in a new environment? Will it take over or will it kind of stay put?
That's a good question.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
Catch you next time.
See you later.